Welcome to Deep Thought. One person doesn't represent the behaviors of a group. You know what? There was a couple things on some recent videos on my main channel. One, I had said something about beautiful women. It was a statement about beautiful women and like surprisingly lower counts. And I gave my reasons for it. I specifically said because so many guys are afraid to approach them. Right? But then I had presumably a young lady get on there and say, well, no, I don't agree with that because of this woman, this woman, this woman. Okay, she named like some stars. But then I responded, I said, okay, there's 4 billion women in the world. 1% of that is 400 million. 4%, 1% of that is something, I forgot what I said, 400 something, whatever the 1% is. And I kept breaking it down. I said, these women are, oh, I'm not good at math, y'all. Anyway, these women, hey, we had gone on, well, I can count 1 plus 1. Anyway, I got it down, and after a while, it was like, it's not that many. You're talking about a general behavior that I've witnessed. I would never use just this small amount of women who we still don't know. Remember what I said in the last one? You don't know what they're doing privately. You really don't know. But that didn't represent it. And then there was another one I was talking about. I did a video. I said, many, men who are short, fat, or ugly, there are some who still get women. Because, the general thing is they don't get women. And I say one of the things is they just secure with themselves. But then somebody said something about Kevin Hart and saying he was insecure. And I'm like, okay, that's one person. That's one person. I had qualified the statement anyway, right? But then I thought about that. A lot of times, what do? People, you'll say something in general. And I've said several times, whenever I speak in general. I speak in groups. There's always an exception. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. There's always an exception, but see, people will use the exception instead of the general thing, the group population. There's always come on. There's always going to be an exception, but they will use that as representative of a whole group. It's used in racial matters. People like, I'm gonna go there with race. People will talk about some, young black man like vandalizing something or looting or something, right? Or even a group of them. But that's still a small portion, tiny portion of the group. Nobody's talking about, if you're going to talk about the behavior of a group, you can't use one person or even a tiny portion of them and say, oh, this is the whole group. I mean, how many people have gone to different festivals or church festivals, or people, in black upper class communities. One person, okay, that's one person. Shoot, even in poorer communities, someone's using that. People use that one person and say that represents us all, and that's never the case. Now, I'll say that too, reverse it. You get some white stereotype that's racist, but I've met plenty who fight racists harder than anybody. Seriously, they go crazy. They the ones ready to fight, like violently. So I can't say this one person represent them all if I had a racial incident when I've met too many who didn't. You got to think about that. Like if you go and look at a group, the best you can do is make some general, very, very extremely general statements. Because even then you got to still qualify it. Because every single group, I don't care if it's a racial group, an ethnic group, a particular nationality, members of a social class, you can make some general statements. When I say extremely general, just general. But you're always going to say it's going to be something different. Because ultimately, whenever you deal with one person, ultimately it's just that one person. Now, you might, there's probably other people who share the behavior. But to say it represents everybody of a group, no, it doesn't. I'll use that black kid example again, looting. Okay, so if I put my 2 sons who've never gotten in trouble, never stolen anything. Very behavior-wise, does that represent the whole group? Of course not. You know? Or you got plenty on social media. You have plenty of, there's always a clip or a meme, not a meme, but, you know, some posts about some younger black child getting a degree to a higher education or even graduating. They still teenagers. They went early or doing something. Does that represent the whole group? No. But it represents that one kid, you know? Because any group, first of all, is always varied. I don't care what the group is. They may have a general philosophy, a general racial background, general religious thing, but beyond that, they're all going to express themselves in different manners. You know, it's like you got to say, boom, you got to take that person as is and not project it, because a lot of people get in trouble when they project a certain behavior just because they experience one person or even 3, 4, 5. So did you deal with every single member of that group, which would probably number in the millions? Even a tiny group is going to number in the thousands. Have you dealt with every single member? No. No, not at all. Like I said, you can make some general stuff based on, you know, maybe the racial phenotypes or the particular religious philosophy or even political philosophy, you know? But at the end of the day, that one person doesn't represent the whole. Now, people still try it, like especially in advertising and even trying to figure out who, even in voting, they try to figure it out. But at the end of the day, everybody is an individual actor, and you got to take them right there on the spot. And this is very important to understand. You gotta say, you can speak, like I say, you can speak in general, very general terms. But even that situation where I talked about, you know, the short men, the fat men, and the ugly men, right? I made it very clear during that video. I made it very clear. It was a car video. I said, look, I've met some like that. And I said specifically, this is what I saw with the ones I met. Now, I never said this represented all of them. I made that clear a couple times, because a lot of guys who got anything like that will have some issues. But even then, you got to take that individual right there, you know? Because when you're talking about humans are dynamic. Humans are dynamic. You're going to get different things. It is what it is. I want y'all to think, just seriously think about that. Like when you deal with an individual, I would say deal with them in the moment. Don't have any preconceived notions. Keep your mind open. And it's tough. And like I said, there's still going to be some very, 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 very general things. Because when you have a group, there's going to be a tendency to share some commonalities. But there's also so many other factors in there as well. So you got to say what it is, what's going on. So I want y'all to really think on that. You know, think on that. Indeed, I've said, just real quick, I was going to end this, but I was thinking about, I do that with relationships. I've told plenty of women, like you get some women say, oh, men are bad. Now it's like, have you met every single man? All you can talk about is who you've met. And the only thing they had in common was you. Or men who say, all women are bad. Have you met every single woman on the planet? All you can say is, this is your response to this, how these women acted towards you. The only thing they had in common was you. I want y'all to think about that, all right? And I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.